Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Expats in Ukraine with your host, me, Corey. Today, my guest, she is from Canada. Her name is Kaitlin Vitt. She is a humanitarian and author of the book Planted, Stories from Manitoba's Natural World. And she was nice enough to gift me a copy of it. And there is some cute text in here. May you be as healthy and vibrant as the Carpathian Mountains. How beautiful. What's up, Kaitlin?
Hello. Actually, can I tell you the story of why I put that little message?
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So when I was here in 2017, I went to like a mock wedding in like the Hutzulshina region. And there was a priest there who was leading the ceremony. And he said to us all, like his blessing for us was, may you be as healthy and or maybe just healthy as the Carpathian Mountains. And that always just stuck with me. So it's one of my favorite messages for people who know about the mountains.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like that quote, it fits the theme of the book, too. No, I'm super excited to read it. Thank you so much for, gifting me a copy. Yeah, and I was telling you before, like off camera, that I'm really into like this book collecting phase of my life, and it's not about like the substance of the book. It's just more about the person that wrote it, and if I have a connection with them, I love just reading their books. So thank you so much for this. I can't wait to read it. And have you seen my podcast before?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because at the beginning we have this kind of icebreaker, and it's like a this or that kind of thing. So this is just to give people at home a better understanding who the real Kaitlin Vitt, not Vitt, Vitt is. So I have a this or that. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay. So Tim Hortons or Aroma Cava?
Aroma Cava.
Aroma Cava. You don't like Timmy's?
I can leave it behind.
You can leave it. Okay. Next, Red River or Dnipro River?
Dnipro.
Dnipro River.
Yeah.
Okay, you're so Ukrainian so far.
Yep.
So Red River is one of the rivers that crosses in Winnipeg, right?
Yes.
Because there's two rivers there.
Yeah, Assiniboine and the Red River. There's the Forks in Winnipeg. That's like where they both meet.
Okay.
Yes.
And which out of those two rivers, which one is your favorite?
I guess I'll have to say Red River because I'm from St. Andrews, Manitoba, which is just outside of Winnipeg, and the Red River is closer to that.
Yeah, I can hear your accent now. Just outside of Manitoba. Manitoba.
Outside.
Outside, dude. Yeah, that's how you speak like me. You just say dude at the end of every sentence. But okay, so nice. Like I told you before, I really know nothing about Manitoba. I know Winnipeg Jets, right? Go
Yes.
Jets. Is that what they say
we
there?
have our NHL team.
Yeah. And why is it Jets though?
Like fighter jets. I don't know. Aviation.
Maybe there's a base there. I don't know.
Not great with this. Sorry.
Okay, somebody comment down below. Tell us why. Okay, next, Putin or Putin?
Poutine. Of course.
Of course. No, I just thought it was funny. I was like, okay, Putin. What can I match that? I'm like, okay, like Putin. It sounds funny.
Have you had poutine before?
Of course. Yeah, I've been to Montreal and Toronto before.
Okay.
Yeah, I really liked Montreal. Toronto just seemed like another American city just across the border. Skyscrapers, big metropolis. But Montreal was special. It seemed more European.
Yeah.
And this is before I went to Europe, so
Okay.
it's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
But is Winnipeg like either of those cities, or is it?
No.
No. Okay.
It's a capital city of Manitoba, but it's pretty small town vibes.
Small town vibes.
Yes.
What is the population?
I think 700,000.
700,000.
Yes.
Okay. I was in Zaporizhia recently, and it's about the same population. I think they have 800,000.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get a gauge on how big the city is. So about like that, Zaporizhia then.
Okay. Yeah.
Let it be. And last question: Winnipeg or Kyiv?
Kyiv.
Kyiv. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Why Kyiv?
It's just so special. I mean, just Ukraine is so special. I feel this different energy here of being here. Of course, I love Winnipeg. I love my family and friends there. That's the part I love most about that city. Yeah, I just feel really connected to Ukraine. So.
Okay, and so I'm sure you get to ask this question a lot, but why are you in Ukraine? Why are you here? If you're from Canada, you could be in Canada. I'd rather be in Canada. This is
you would?
No, I'm just saying this is what
Okay.
people say.
Yeah.
Like to me at least, like you're from the US. Why are you here? I'd rather be in the US.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm here right now volunteering with Ukrainian Patriot, a nonprofit. It was started by someone who's originally from Canada. She's Lana Nyland. She's lived in Ukraine for the past 20 years. It's Ukrainian, Canadian, and a U.S. organization. So I'm here volunteering with them for 5 weeks. And while here, I've also volunteered with a few other organizations, Murashke, which is a kitchen that makes dehydrated meals for defenders. Through Ukrainian Patriot, I've spent a couple days with Voices of Children, which is an organization that puts on programs for kids, really supports them through times of war. So another volunteer and I have spent a couple days there playing games in English with the kids. And yeah, so I'm here. The short answer is I'm here to stand with Ukraine. And I mean, that's one answer.
Yeah, and you have Ukrainian heritage, right?
Yes.
Like, okay.
Yes. So my great grandmother moved from Ukraine in like the early 1900s. But my family celebrates our Ukrainian culture. I've been a Ukrainian dancer my whole life. Through that, have been inspired to learn more about the culture, the music, the ethnography, the folk beliefs, the stories. And yeah, celebrating the culture and the traditions, the food has always been important to my family. And we still have some family, distant relatives, like a distant cousin on my mom's in Ukraine who we keep in touch with. I've had the chance to meet them a few times, not this time when I've been here, but a few years ago. Yes, so Ukrainian background.
Okay, and I'm always curious. So, why did your grandmother or your grandparents immigrate to Canada? What was the reason?
Great grandparents.
Great grandparents. Sorry.
I think I think like anyone at the time to like escape some of the harshness of what was life here at the time.
And you said 1900, right? Or
Yes,
early 1900s?
early 1900s.
So it's like around the, I guess, Russian Revolution.
And
Then Holodomor.
yeah, not quite that. So yeah, it was like she was young still with she moved with her parents, I believe. But yeah, I think just for opportunities in Canada.
Yeah. So do you know why a lot of Ukrainians they immigrated to Canada? Because there's like a huge like diaspora, right?
Yes, very big.
Yeah, but why Canada?
I'm not sure the official reason, but I know like it is very similar land. You're driving through here of the prairie land or farmland here. It looks identical to Manitoba or Saskatchewan. So I think a lot of areas that they settled look very similar, had same chances to build your life farming and everything. I don't actually know the real reason though.
Yeah. Should look into that.
I should.
Or maybe I will. I don't know. But okay. So what was it like growing up in Manitoba then?
In what way?
I don't know, just Manitoba. Like I told you before, I don't know anything about Manitoba.
Okay.
Sure, now I know. I'm getting like a picture where it's similar to the Ukrainian fields.
Yes.
Farmland, maybe.
Yes.
So what's it like growing up there?
Winnipeg is in the center of Canada. I grew up just outside of the city, so country girl. It gets very cold. It gets very hot. So it's like, well, I'm gonna say Celsius because we're in Ukraine and I'm Canadian. But like it'll be like -40 in winter and then +35 in summer. Yeah.
-40. Wow.
Yep.
In Winnipeg or just in Manitoba in general?
Winnipeg. And then I mean there's northern parts too. Like, yeah, it gets very cold. We have polar bears in Churchill, Manitoba. We have wonderful wildlife. We don't have mountains or anything because we're right in the center. We have lots of lakes. So that's really nice. My family has a cottage, a dacha on a lake in Manitoba. I don't know about what growing. I'm not sure. It was really nice. Spent lots of time outside. It was big. Yeah.
Okay. And so you said your family, so your great grandparents were Ukrainian. They immigrated. And did your parents like always match, or your parents and grandparents, did they match up with other diaspora Ukrainians? Or are you kind of...
Yes.
So you're like 100% Ukrainian, but you...
Well, yeah. Well, not my... Actually, my dad is as well Ukrainian, and my mom is. And both my mom's parents, my Baba and Gigi, are Ukrainian. And yeah, like my mom, she is fluent in Ukrainian. In the Ukrainian she learned in her like small town, Manitoba, which is very different than nowadays. My aunt's first language, like she didn't speak English till she was 5 because that was just what was spoken at home. Yeah, and like there's so many communities in Manitoba that are very Ukrainian, and that's where my grandparents met in like nearby towns. Yeah.
Well, that's like super interesting because I knew a guy from Brazil. His name is Elias. He grew up in the southern part of Brazil in Curitiba, and apparently there's like a big Ukrainian diaspora. And so his great grandparents, same story, they immigrated, and both his parents are of Ukrainian descent. His grandparents are both of Ukrainian descent. So they just kept, they stayed in like the same kind of like bubble of Ukrainians.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like 100% Ukrainian, but he barely knew any Ukrainian. But he
Right.
looks like a Ukrainian guy. He just speaks Portuguese. I don't know. It was like super interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay. And so growing up in this kind of household, how did your family keep the traditions alive after like so many generations? It's been like 2 generations since your parents, at least.
I think through food is, for example, a really big thing. My baba was an amazing cook and would always make us vareniki, or pierogies, what we would call them, and borscht, and would like pickle cabbage and everything for sauerkraut. And like it was always just important to my family that we enjoyed learning about it, and so we got involved too. My nieces and nephew would help out my baba and Gigi with their like sauerkraut jarring and everything and canning. Yeah, I don't know. And then it was just always really special, just like any traditions, like you celebrate Christmas or Thanksgiving, whatever, like it just naturally was passed on. When I became more interested through dance, so actually every kid in my family, I'm the youngest of 4, we all danced for a bit, even my brother. He hated it. It just wasn't his thing. Hockey was his thing, of course, Canada. Yeah. But yeah, when I started to get more interested in that and learning about more traditions, and then I lived in Ukraine for a year a few years ago and got even more interested and tried to pass along some of these things that I learned. I think, yeah, I think that even helped my family of like think even more about some of these traditions and the importance of passing them along.
Okay, so you have like a strong connection with Ukraine, right? Even since you were growing up.
Yes.
You felt like this is your identity? You're Ukrainian?
Yes.
Or do you feel more Ukrainian than Canadian sometimes?
Yeah, I always, just say I'm Ukrainian. Yeah.
Just say you're Ukrainian. Okay, wow, interesting. And okay, so when you were growing up, were a lot of your friends Ukrainian as well?
Well, I Ukrainian danced from a young age, so I met some people through that. A couple other friends like a little bit Ukrainian, but no, it wasn't until I was like a teen and was in a dance ensemble, like a bigger group, that I really started to, my dance friends became like my best friends, and our interests just like started to grow together and everything.
Yeah, and do you speak Ukrainian?
Very poorly.
Very poorly.
Yeah.
Okay, and your parents are fluent, you said?
My mom,
Your
yes.
mom. Okay, and I've been living in Ukraine for a long time, and I can speak Ukrainian. It's like not that great, but I can kind of more or less like understand it. My speaking is not that great. My Russian's like a lot better, unfortunately. But now that I've been here so long, since I hang around a lot of Ukrainian people, I speak like a surgic of like English and Ukrainian with some like random Russian words like thrown in as well. And it's like so interesting because sometimes I talk to my friends that have no connection to Ukraine, and we're talking on the phone. I start using like Ukrainian words and like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. But so when you were hanging out with your Ukrainian friends, did you happen to do this, or was this all in English? Like in Canada?
In Canada?
Yeah.
No, all in English.
All in English, okay.
It wasn't until when I lived here in 2017 is when I started to like focus on the language more, and I could get by to day perfectly fine. I could understand what everyone said, but then since going back to Canada, I just didn't practice and I lost a lot of it. But there are still sometimes when I'm like immersed in it and I'm around like at the kitchen where I volunteered and there was no one who spoke English, I still was able to learn about the people, and they learned a bit about me just with my like noun, verb, random words and whatever. But yeah.
Okay. And I noticed there's like a big difference between diaspora Ukrainians and Ukrainians in Ukraine. And you have a lot of experience, in both kind of, countries. So what can you tell me about the difference between like diaspora Ukrainians in Canada, for example, and Ukrainian Ukrainians?
In Ukraine?
In Ukraine, yeah.
The differences. I'm no expert on this.
I know, but you've seen both. You kind of understand.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I can give you what I think. So based on, when Zelensky was running for president, it was Zelensky versus Poroshenko. My ex-girlfriend, she was very actively involved in politics, and so she was pro-Poroshenko. And then a lot of the people in my bubble, I used to work for IT companies, and a lot of these people were pro-Poroshenko. And I would hardly meet pro-Zelensky people. They were out there, sure, of course. You look at like the electoral election map. So every region voted for, in the end, every region voted for Zelensky, except for Lviv. Lviv voted for Poroshenko. And then when you look at the voting demographics for people that lived abroad that voted for, like in the Ukrainian election, basically all of them voted for Poroshenko.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even though, so what I'm trying to say is basically the whole country except for Lviv voted for Zelensky. And then all of the diaspora, the people that, still can vote in Ukrainian elections, they voted for Poroshenko.
Mm-hmm.
So there's obviously like a difference here, like politically. do you feel any difference at all, whether it's politically, a bit culturally? People are more, proud of Ukraine when they're abroad. I don't know. Can you tell
Well,
me
it's
anything about
also
this?
interesting because there's the diaspora I'm a part of, where our families are fourth generation already, quite removed from our families living here. And then there's so many people who have come since the full scale started. And then there's also people who had moved here prior to that too, so who are more newer Canadians and part of that diaspora. So that's also like, I think there's definitely totally differences between there. And I can't speak on all of that because I'm not, a part of all of that. But it's, no, I don't know. This isn't totally related, but sort of is. So I'll just say this. Like, I think sometimes, because being Ukrainian, when you're in Ukraine, that's your identity, right? It's just like second nature because that's who you are. And so you're not necessarily going out, and not everyone is learning about their culture through Ukrainian dance. Like, that's my connection to Ukraine. Whereas people, their connection to being Ukrainian is that they are Ukrainian, for example. So there's been a few times where even this time when I've been in Ukraine, I had met a friend, and then I saw her again the next week, and she said, "Oh, I was looking through your Instagram, and my fiance and I were saying, like, you're so much more Ukrainian than we are," which is obviously not true. But just if you like, it is interesting to think about how I guess because we're trying to like preserve some of these traditions that we have seen being lost in our new countries, Canada and stuff. So I thought that's kind of interesting of like, anyways, not totally directly related, but
No.
that's what I
related.
thought of.
Yeah, no, it's related. Yeah, and since you brought that up, this other Kaitlin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so she also does dance.
Yes.
Yeah, so she does dance as well. And then I remember I met this girl. I was living in Portugal for like a little bit, and she's from Ukraine, Darina, and she's lived in Portugal like so many years, since she's maybe like teenager or something like this. And she keeps like these Ukrainian traditions alive. She does Ukrainian dance as well. And I've met so many Ukrainians abroad that, do Ukrainian dance and keep these traditions alive. And they're very kind of passionate about it. And like a lot of Ukrainians I meet here, I've never met any Ukrainian dancers that are in Ukraine. Maybe it's because there's like, it's the pool is so big of Ukrainian people here that I haven't come across them. But it seems like every single Ukrainian I meet, they're involved in, keeping the traditions alive, whether it's like through dance or whether it's through kind of language meetups or something like this. But it seems like it's very important for Ukrainians abroad. It seems like they're very passionate about Ukraine.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, totally. I mean, a lot of my followers like on social media, they're mostly people that are abroad, but they're Ukrainians. Yeah, I see like the demographics, and it's like U.S., Canada. I'm like, oh, these are all Ukrainians that are just like in U.S. and Canada. Yeah. But no, it's really neat. And so, tell me about your dance. Like, how did you get into Ukrainian dance, like in Canada?
Well, I have a Ukrainian family, and when you're 5 years old, you're put in dance. And like, that's what it started off as. Just like so many other people, you are told your parents are like, drive you to the school gym or a community church basement, and you're every Monday night, and you're there to dance, and you don't really question it because you're a kid and whatever, you're put in dance. But then eventually it became a choice for me to be there. And I realized how for one, it's fun, and how I felt when I was there. And then I really started to connect with my culture through it. Specifically, the music is what hooked me, whether it was more traditional folk music or we would dance sometimes to more modern bands. And yeah, then I started to kind of become more interested in seeing this like importance of feeling connected with my culture in that way. Actually, there's this band Zrada from Winnipeg. They're a Ukrainian band, and they're amazing. And it was when my godmother had gifted me a CD of theirs one time, and at the time there were like, whatever, these like 20-year-old guys or something. And I remember, and I was however old, whatever. And I remember seeing like, oh wow, like these guys are really cool, and they're celebrating Ukrainian culture and like in such a cool way. Like, celebrating your culture is cool. And that was kind of like that really clicked with me of how it doesn't, you can make your own path in keeping your traditions alive. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the band's name again?
Zrada.
Zrada. Okay, I haven't heard of them. I would love to check them out. What kind of music is it? Like folk
Punk,
music?
Ukrainian, rock, Everything.
Okay,
It's
okay.
really fun.
And so, what music do you dance to now? Oh,
Well,
not now, but like before. What was the music, your go-to music to dance to?
like Ukrainian music.
Yeah, Ukrainian music. Yeah. Like
Um,
when you do traditional dance, like what music were you listening to? What groups?
well, a lot of it was like orchestrated music. So that's not necessarily
Okay.
something I would just name of like that you would know. Yeah, and then I mean everyone's gonna dance to Ruslana,
Mhm.
and Burdan is an amazing group. Um, I mean these are just a couple, but yeah, a lot of times it's orchestrated music.
Okay. And so, you were talking about how Ukrainian dance keeps you in touch with like your culture. So it means a lot to you, right? Do you do anything else? Like, do you sing? Do you do anything else where you keep the traditions alive?
I don't sing. I have gone to a Billy Holos workshop before.
Mhm.
I couldn't do it quite yet. But my friend and I have a podcast called FSI, the Ukrainian Dance and Culture Podcast, and we launched it. Well, we launched it in 2020, I think. But we were inspired after we lived in Ukraine from 2017 to 2018. There were a few of us who lived here, and we would it was like this cultural immersion program focusing on Ukrainian dance. And we lived in a new city every 2 months, and we would train with folk dance ensembles in each city. And while we were here, we learned so much. And it just, the more you learn, the more you want to learn too. And the more you learn, the less you realize, the more you realize you don't know a whole lot. And so, while we were here, we felt so inspired to be researching all these topics and looking into things. And we met so many amazing people, and we didn't want that to stop after we went back to Canada. And so, to feed our curiosity, we launched this podcast, and we talked to choreographers, we talked to nonprofit groups, we talked to musicians, talk about like, yeah, the various traditions, and holidays and everything. And so that's been a really nice time as well.
Are you still doing that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, we
nice.
are.
How many episodes in are you?
I mean, okay, so we're like 4 years in, but maybe 20 something
20, okay,
episodes
right.
where, yeah, quality over quantity.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. If you're looking for interesting guests, just let me know. It's like you only do audio, right?
Yes.
You don't do video? Okay.
Yes.
So it can be remotely.
Yes.
Okay, if you're looking for some guests, I know a guy.
Yeah,
No, I'm
great.
joking. No,
Absolutely. No, of course.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I can find you somebody that's, fits your niche better, I
Yeah.
guess. But yeah, okay. And tell me about your first time in Ukraine. So you came in 2014, I think I saw.
Yes. So the very first time I was actually touring Eastern Europe with my Ukrainian dance ensemble. And my mom and her cousin were also with us. And then since we were already in the area, we thought, let's go to Ukraine to visit our family. I had never met them. My mom has met them, I think, before. They visited Canada in the past. And so, yeah, so that was my first time in 2014, which is obviously a very interesting year for Ukraine as well.
Mhm.
And actually, it was the morning, I believe it was the morning I left. I was in whatever Eastern European country coming to Ukraine, was the time that the MH17 was shot down. And it was
Oh.
like that very next day that I was coming to Ukraine. And so, yeah, so it was very interesting times as well. And I mean, okay, now I'm just going tangent, but
Oh, that's fine.
I remember actually, because of course I was nervous. I was traveling on my own as well because my mom was going on a different flight. This was my first time kind of traveling on my own to a country I've never been to during this like pretty scary time. And I remember sitting in the airport pretty nervous. And then I saw this kid just like who was going on the same flight as me to Ukraine. And they were just whatever, playing with their parents, smiling, having a good time. And I just remembered like, if they're not scared, I don't need to be scared. I am no better than this person. If something happens, something can happen to us at any time, anywhere. So like, I've just got to like live my life and trust it will be fine. And like, I mean, that's even translated into my time here in that obvious people have questioned me coming here, and it's this massive privilege that I have the chance to travel to Ukraine when I have a home. I can leave at any time, and I know I can go to a safe place in Canada. And I've never, before coming to Ukraine in Canada, I've never had to think about where the nearest bomb shelter is. I wouldn't even know where to tell you if that happened. And yeah, but then when people have questioned, I guess it has that moment came up in 2014, and just the reminder of like no one deserves what is happening, and I am not better or different than this other person here, so it's not like I should have this advantage that they don't. I don't know if any of that's making sense, but okay,
That makes sense. Yeah, I
okay.
feel it. Yeah. And so when you came into Ukraine for the first time, it was in 2014. And prior to that, you were doing Ukrainian dance. You're very in touch with your culture. Can you tell me about like maybe the emotions and feelings you felt when you came to Ukraine for the first time?
I felt so at home and so grounded, and like I had been here before. We spent a few days in Lviv, and then we went to my family's village near Terbovia, and
Where's Terbovia?
near Ternopil.
Oh, Ternopil. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I just felt so at home, I guess, is really the best way I could say it.
But why did you feel at home?
It's this energy you feel here that like I felt connected to something bigger, that like my friends and I say, like there's like this energy source when you're here, and you feel like you like plug into it when you're here, and like it like refuels you. And that's, I felt that right from the first moment I put my foot on the ground in Ukraine. And it's just so special to get to see where my family came from. Like my cousin and my aunt and uncle still live in the house that like my great grandmother lived in. And yeah, so that's a really beautiful connection. I've just always feels really grounding.
Yeah, of course. And also, so you were here in 2014. How long did you stay?
Just a few days. I'm gonna say like 5 or
5 days.
something.
And you just stayed in like the town near Ternopil, right?
Actually, I think we stayed in Lviv, went to that town just for the day.
Oh, okay, right on. And so explain like, you had like a really good experience when you were here the first time. So when did you decide that you want to come back then to Ukraine? So you came back in 2017.
17,
right?
yes. I think the moment I left is when I wanted to come back, but at the time I was in university, and I was just finishing my studies there. And then this opportunity came up after I have a science degree. So after I had graduated from that, after I had completed a journalism program, and this other opportunity came up to focus on Ukrainian dance. And it was dance has been something like I've loved my whole life, but I haven't put the focus on my Ukrainian culture like I wanted to. Whereas I had studied science, one of my loves, and nature. I had studied writing, another one of my loves, but I was ready to like put the time and energy into Ukrainian dance and culture. And this opportunity came up right at the time when it was like actually an option for me or made sense for my life to move. And so that's why I came that next time.
Mm-hmm. And you said you studied journalism, right, at Red River College?
Red River College,
Red River
yes.
College. Okay, right on. So why did you decide to study journalism when you have a background in science, you said?
Yes. I think I initially transitioned because I kind of wanted to do science journalism, but I think that was really my just like segue into focusing more on writing. I've always been someone who's loved writing, someone who's loved like sciences and math. Like I'm not one of those people who liked one or the other. I always liked both. And when I was studying science, I started to just kind of notice this like disconnect between why people were doing science, or the disconnect between people and science, really. So like the scientists would be doing the science, but they wouldn't be able to tell me why. And this is a very generalized statement. This is just my experience. Yeah, so like they wouldn't be able to tell me why. And then there would be people out there enjoying science or enjoying nature, but then forgetting the like importance of maybe protecting the environment so they can continue to enjoy nature. And so I kind of wanted to be that bridge to help like connect the importance of science and like not how we benefit from it, but like why we should care about it.
And is this when you wrote this book?
It is when I wrote that book.
I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about it. It's like, how was it like writing this book then?
It was wonderful. I wrote it when I was still a full-time student. So this was initially in 2017. And in it, I share the stories of 8 people who are inspired by nature and have these experiences to tell because of it. And so there's stories of finding healing through nature after losing a loved one, traditional medicine. I had the chance to go on a medicine walk with a wisdom keeper from Long Plain First Nation in Manitoba. There's a story of survival about a woman who got lost while mushroom picking. And yeah, it's just this reminder of like our connection to the earth. And so I wrote it originally in 2017. And then in 2022, I republished it. I did some updates to chapters. I got my sister as the illustrator, and she did some new illustrations. And I have half the proceeds from each copy sold going to organizations in Ukraine. I had been thinking about reprinting this book for a while, but I just never felt this motivation to like do these updates, to spend time on it. But when the full-scale invasion happened, I mean, I think like a lot of us, I felt very helpless and I wasn't sure what to do. And I didn't do a lot of stuff for a while. I was just so numb. And then, I mean, which leads to the guilt of then you see the people in Ukraine who are living through war while helping others. And so that was something for me to work through, of like getting myself to a spot where I was feeling good or feeling able to help others as well. And then I had this idea of why not publish my book. Like I had mentioned, I've been wanting to do this, but just didn't have the motivation, and the motivation to raise money for Ukraine definitely helped me push through that. And so, yeah, so I have donated to 6 organizations so far. Every 60 books I would sell, I would donate to a new place. And right now I'm donating to my last place only because I'm almost out of books, to Murashke, that kitchen I've been helping out with here in Kyiv.
Okay. And so speaking of like journalism still, I can't wait to read the book. Like I'm serious. Yeah, and I love the illustrations as well. I can show. Yeah. Illustration right there. It's just like what is it? A hata?
A what?
A hata? That's like a little hut.
It's
right?
a little hut,
Yeah.
A debris hut.
A debris hut. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has like trees.
Yeah.
That was like the most random picture. Okay. This makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's some milkweed.
Milkweed. Yeah. So this is your sister's drawings, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
nice.
Yeah.
And you're the youngest, so she's obviously older.
Yes.
Is she an artist?
She is everything. She is a dental hygienist by trade. But she is the most creative person I have ever met, and the most wonderful mother. She has 3 kids, and she somehow finds time to create art. She does drawings, paintings. She has written a kid's book. She is a wedding florist. She makes like ceramics and everything. She really does do it all. Very creative person.
No, it sounds like she does do it all.
Yes.
But okay, so when it comes to your journalism, I know that you connected, your journalism with Ukraine. Because you did this, what is it, Ukraine or Kyiv? Oh, what's on Kyiv? Yeah,
yes.
What's on Kyiv? Exactly. Yeah, talk about that. So you were talking about, Canadians' take on Ukrainians' lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay,
So What's
yeah.
on Kyiv is a magazine. It has just been on a break for the past couple years. So it's a Ukrainian magazine. English language magazine based in Kyiv, talks about the arts and culture here, lots of the events. And so while I was here in 2017, I had a monthly column about a Canadian's take on the Ukrainian lifestyle. And the editor was actually Lana Nyland, who is who founded the organization Ukrainian Patriot, of why I'm here. So yeah, so I would write about my experiences here.
So you were like a Ukrainian, like Carrie Bradshaw?
Exactly.
Yeah, your monthly column, Carrie Bradshenko.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came up with this
Bradshenko.
idea, right? Katya Bradshenko. Yeah. So you came up with this idea, right?
Yes.
Okay, right on. So what was I guess what was the point you were trying to get across to people, when they were reading this column? Or what is the key findings when you were kind of, doing these columns, researching?
Even though this was it was a magazine that lots of international people who are living in here would read it, but it was also posted online and I was always sharing about it. And so I think the biggest thing is, which also is important to me now, of sharing what life is really like in Ukraine. And I think the world is getting a lot better at realizing like how modern of a place it is, how it's not like everyone's walking around in traditional gear and that's their everyday clothing sort of a thing, Like I think it was about, telling people about the people of Ukraine, what it's like living here, and like the specialness of this place, and just some of the almost like life lessons I've gotten while here, and things I like to apply in my life, no matter where I'm living.
Okay. And so in 2022 February, what were you doing? Because this is like the full scale invasion. You were in Canada, right?
Yes.
So yeah, can you talk about, everyone has, especially every Ukrainian, especially everyone that was living in Ukraine, and probably it goes for every Ukrainian abroad. They know exactly what they were doing on this date. So February 24th, 2022.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
So in Canada, we found out on February 23rd, which would have been in the evening, which would have been the morning of the 24th here. February 23rd is my birthday. And
Oh, wow.
so I was at my sister's. We had the most wonderful time. She had me for dinner, played games with the kids and everything. And at this time, also, the whole world was watching the news of Ukraine because it was already very tense at that time. And then it was when everyone else had gone to bed already. I was sitting downstairs looking at my phone, probably one last time for the night. And then news of the first attacks came in. And I felt both so overwhelmed with emotions and yet also numb, which I'm sure people, just because couldn't even believe that this was happening. And then my mind was flashing to absolutely everyone I knew. And I mean, it's hard to even, think back to that time and then thinking of and seeing this person that post about this and this person, and then you're thinking about who haven't I heard from yet and everything. And at that moment, I couldn't do anything. And all I could do was, I remember like just going through every person I met while I was in Ukraine, whether it was my dance partner, my dance instructor, the person at the product store who found my lost mitten and put it to the side for me one day, and just thought about all these amazing people who have had such an impact on my life, no matter, even if so many of them don't know that. I just remember going through all these people, and when I had tried to fall asleep, wasn't a very restful sleep. So that was my February 23rd. And then the next day, it was, really difficult. My sister and I had gone to a couple stores that day. I remember when I was just walking behind her, just like that, again, you're thinking about things going on and just like hyperventilating a bit when you're thinking about all this, but also the support in Winnipeg right from the start was really beautiful to see. Driving to the store we were going to, you saw so many Ukrainian flags on people's cars. Radio stations were playing the Ukrainians' national anthem regularly. It was, that was my time of when it launched.
And you were talking about your sister a bit, but how did your family take it as well? Because it's probably impactful for them since they're also Ukrainian, right?
Yes. But I mean, there was a lot of tears, and it was hard to talk about anything. And yet it's nice to have that support because you don't need to always explain yourself. Same with my friends who are connected to Ukrainian culture. It felt like a very safe space to not even necessarily talk, but just to like be together. It hit everyone really hard.
Okay. Did your feelings towards Russia change after that day? Or did you always just not like them?
Became, I guess, stronger against, like, never, or not that I wasn't like in support of them at any time, I guess, but just became more solidified. Yeah.
Did you have any Russian friends in Canada?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
I guess it's for the best. There's not a lot of Russian people in Canada, right?
Not that I know of, but I just haven't ever, like, I don't know. I know more Ukrainian people.
Yeah, because in LA, there's a lot of Russian people.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like a Russian community in West Hollywood, which is ironic because it's also like the gay community.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like living kind of side by side.
Right.
And I feel like the Russian community there still doesn't accept the gay community, but they just happen to be in the same neighborhood. No, it's funny. But yeah, I was in Ukraine when they invaded. And the image that sticks in my head is, so I woke up in the morning, there's probably around 4 or 5 or something like this. And then I saw like on Reddit that they invaded. and I looked at videos, and the first video I saw was like the tanks, going through the border of Crimea, like going to the south. And you could see like, the cameras from the border just seeing all these tanks just ride into Ukraine. It was like so surreal. Yeah, her brothers both went to the military base to go fight shortly after that.
Hmm.
It was really sad, a lot of tears. Everyone was watching TV, like glued to the TV. Like, it seemed like the whole city stopped. I was in Mukacheva, which is like super far out there, but the whole city stopped.
Hmm.
And people were scared. Stuff was flying off the shelves. So like the day of the invasion, everyone was at like the markets, the producties, even like the supermarkets, just taking as much stuff as they can. There's lines, at the ATM. People were trying to withdraw money before like maybe it collapses or something like this. And so a couple days after, there was like hardly anything on the shelves, and I was getting like a bit worried. Like, is it always going to be like this now? Should we consider, going somewhere else? And then the ATMs were out of money. But then after a while, once I guess everyone realized that Ukraine is not going to capitulate, and the Russians will never reach the capital, then it started to calm down. Everything was getting restocked, the ATMs were getting refilled, and then it just went kind of business as usual in Western Ukraine, at least. Because in Mukacheva, I've never heard like an air alarm, because it was so far out there that, say if they shoot a rocket, and then they're off by a few kilometers, then it might land in Slovakia or Hungary or something like this. So to them, and there's not anything of value military wise like in Zakarpattia. So yeah, so I felt safe, never heard like an air alarm. So things more or less kind of went back to normal like shortly after they understood that Kyiv is not going to fall. But everywhere else, I went to Lviv maybe a couple months after the invasion, and there was air alarms like all the time, even like in Lviv. And it was so surreal for me because I remember I heard my first air alarm, and it was so eerie. I'm like, where's the shelter? And I was trying to find the shelter, and I was in Ploshcha Rynok, like right in the center. Yeah, it's very, I don't know, it was very scary. Like, how'd you react when you first heard like an air alarm for the first time?
While in person?
Yeah, in person, like in Ukraine.
Actually, not how I thought. I thought it would be more shocking to me. I think because I kind of was prepared. I like, yeah, I actually, the first one, I guess. There have been times when there have been a few that have been a bit more scarier for me when you hear the explosions. But yeah, sadly, it's a part of the life. Yeah.
And have you heard any explosions? You said you heard explosions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about this? Was it in Kyiv? Was it a different
In
city?
Kyiv.
In Kyiv.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just the nearby, like up my apartment, sort of a thing. I didn't see any of the destruction after that though. So.
And you just get kind of numb to it after a while, right?
Not even numb, because I also don't want to like say like it's not scary, and it's not. The war is still very much going on, and it's still, people are affected every single day. But I guess it's just like you almost just have to keep living your life, and so it's not even a numbness, it's more of like an acceptance, I guess.
Yeah, I describe it like this. It's like when you go on an airplane, once you like buy the ticket and you go on the airplane, you kind of sealed your fate. You're either going to land or you're going to crash, but you're on there. And so you have like this peace of mind. Like, you trust the driver. The driver is like Ukraine. I'm on the plane. I'm in Ukraine.
Yep.
So yeah, to me, it's like acceptance, I guess. I accept my destiny at this point. I put myself on the plane in Ukraine by my own will. I bought the tickets. So this is kind of, I accept it. I accept whatever happens here because I put myself in this dangerous situation. But I can't imagine myself anywhere else. I've been living here 9 years. This is my home. Kyiv is my city. I have too many friends, close friends, and a lot of my colleagues are here, and I just can't imagine myself anywhere else, even though it is dangerous. Yeah, I was in Zaporizhia recently, so I just came back from this Gogol Fest in Zaporizhia, which is, where Zaporizhia is, right? South. And there's air alarms there all day. And the Russians are maybe like 30, 40 kilometers away. And during the festival, because the festival was all underground, like in shelters, because they wanted to be safe. And when you're talking about, people just live their daily lives, they just live their life. So people in Zaporizhia, I was doing some interviews. So I interviewed some people at the festival and asked them, like, how does it feel, having this festival in your city? and they say, we're in Zaporizhia. Nobody comes to Zaporizhia. We're happy that all these, artists that we love, or just, performances that we want to see, they came to our city, and we just want to kind of unwind because we get air alarms and explosions every single day. And this is very important for us to understand that, we can live a semblance of a normal life, even if they're having this event in a bunker,
Mhm.
and it's very important to the Ukrainian people to have this kind of they call it a war-life balance. And even there, during like one of the performances, there was like an explosion. Like I didn't hear it because I was like in this, underground at this point. My friend was like near the restroom, and then he heard the explosion, and then we went to the site the next day, and it was like it was a highway, so it was like maybe 3 lanes going this way, 3 lanes going that way. But there's a big island in the middle that is just kind of dirt, and we go there, and there was just a big crater, and like a huge crater, and everyone was like passing by, like the locals just like looking at it, and it's like a huge crater. And then yeah, we're taking photos and just understanding what are they trying to hit, because like over there's like a big mall. Right there's outdoor arena with a bunch of foot traffic, and then right next to it is Epicenter, which is like Epicenter, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's like this Home Depot of Ukraine, and so there's like no military as far as I can see, just like civilian targets. And then my buddy that I was with, he was like, it seems like there might be something around here, because why would they just shoot it right here? I'm sure that, maybe they just miscalculated something, and maybe they'll try to attack the next day. And I was like, I don't know, they're terrorists, bro. Like, who knows what they're trying to attack? And he goes, no, I think there's probably something around here that they're probably trying to attack. They just missed. And the very next day there was an attack, and they hit a kindergarten. So it's like, oh yeah, they missed their target, which was the
Wow.
kindergarten. Blin. But the kindergarten, there was nobody, thank God. I guess it was a holiday that day, so there was nobody at the school, and they just destroyed this kindergarten in Zaporizhia, like the next day that we were there as well. But it was, I still remember my friend, he's like, I think they're trying to hit something they just missed. And the next day they hit a kindergarten. I'm like, oh, that's what they're trying to hit, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, but you do get kind of, I guess, numb, or you accept it. Then when I was there the whole time in Zaporizhia, I wasn't really scared. Like it's scary because the air alarms, you hear explosions, but this is kind of how life is. People in Zaporizhia, they're a lot stronger than I am, and they live this every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess this is the reality here. And I know you're going back to Canada soon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but you're gonna come back to Ukraine.
Yes. I hope in spring for the next time. Then maybe again in fall, just to have a few commitments in Manitoba. But yeah, just like when I was here in 2018 when I had left, I have been thinking about coming back ever since. And right from when I came here again, I just felt this is where I need to be, and feel just so drawn to coming back as soon as I can.
Okay, and then you're still gonna do work for Ukrainian Patriots abroad, or are you going to just put that on hold until you come back? How does this work?
No, yeah. So since I have a communications background, I am helping out with their newsletter, for example, some of their other like documents and reports that they have. So I will stay very much involved with them, and then help out on the ground when I'm back.
Okay, can you tell me exactly what you do for Ukrainian Patriots, like when you're here in Ukraine?
Yeah. So, and they do so much. They do food and medical deliveries. They do evacuations of people and animals. They run resilient sessions for kids to escape feelings of war. They lead women's empowerment workshops. They have they're going to open a therapy farm so that people can go to enjoy the land and spend time with animals. They have a holistic healing center that is a dacha that's a few hours away from here that will open in spring, that defenders can go with their families to stay for a week at a time, just to again enjoy nature, to escape those feelings of war for even a little bit. And so I have spent a lot of time in the Ukrainian Patriot warehouse, helping with deliveries, unloading deliveries, loading deliveries, inventorying, making food bags, making like kits that go out to hospitals. And then I've also spent some time at their therapy farm where just doing some yard work, and then also at the dacha, again, doing some yard work. And this week, they plan to go on a run to do some deliveries, maybe some evacuations. And if the dates still work out, then I will be included in on that as well. We've also had some, because it's very important to for Ukrainian Patriot, for me, for so many to like not go with no training, to not go with, you know, like anyway, so we've had medical training as well, to make sure we feel prepared when we're out there in case the worst happens, sort of a thing. But yeah.
Okay. And so you probably met a lot of people through Ukrainian Patriots. Is there anybody that you met that inspired you a lot to keep you, you know, motivated to keep working?
Pretty much everyone at the organization, really, including the founder Lana. She has been such an inspiration for me for since I met her. So she was a Ukrainian dancer, is a Ukrainian dancer. She danced with Virsky, this ensemble here in Kyiv. That's why she initially moved to Ukraine. So I think just the way she is, okay, I'll say a lot, sort of. But yeah, the way, for one, that she has always just been making her own path and always just guided by. So one of the little slogans of Ukrainian Patriot is spreading love, light, hope, and connection. And that's always what has guided her, whether that is promoting culture through dance, whether that's she has a business, that Postmark Ukraine, that sells like dance costumes and goods from Ukraine, through Ukrainian Patriot. And like, she's just so motivated by doing good, I guess. So she's really inspiring. And then another person I want to mention is this girl who I met, is like a friend of a friend, and she actually is just starting to volunteer with Ukrainian Patriot. Her name is Lisa. She's in her, like, she's like 21 years old or something, but like so many Ukrainians, like mature beyond their age, which is, I hate the reason they're so mature. It's because they've been living at a country that has had to deal with that other country their whole lives, and this war has matured them so much. Yeah, anyways, I don't like the reasons of why they have had to become so mature. But in addition to working for an organization, Voices of Children, where she puts together programs for kids to escape the realities of war, she spends every free moment volunteering for organizations. She spends time, doing her own fundraisers, doing her own deliveries with friends and everything. And I had even asked her, like, how do you do it? Like, is it not draining? And she just laughed it off and just said, like, of course not. This is her life, and she just knows this is what she has to do. And it doesn't feel like her life is 24/7, or 24/7, like war, but it really is. But she just is so guided by what she knows is right, and helping people. And so those are a couple of very inspirational people to me.
Yeah, I have like a Lisa story as well. So this girl messaged me on Instagram. Her name is Lisa, and she's a student, so she's young, like 19, and she just wanted to get involved more, and she wanted to help Ukraine more, and she was trying to figure out how. So she messaged me saying, like, maybe Corey, you can come to my university, do a lecture, and we can we can give ideas to the other students how they can help, and we can maybe motivate them to do something. And then I invited, you know, two military guys that are one guy from Chile, one guy from the US, and then a friend, she's Humanitarian. So they also spoke about how they help as foreign people in Ukraine. And if somebody wants to do something similar to what they're doing, this is how they can support that cause. I was explaining my experience like in Ukraine. And after that, she was just so grateful, and she wanted to do more support. If you need any help with anything, if you know, because I really like what you're doing, and maybe you can introduce me to some other interesting people that are supporting Ukraine, I'll be so grateful, because I want to understand their stories, and then maybe I can invite them to the school and they can do a lecture. They can motivate like other students to help. But she just wants to get involved and just help her country, and she's young. She's trying to figure out how she can, and I really think this is, I don't know, I really love people like this. I don't know, it just, because they're so passionate about Ukraine and they understand the gravity. There's a lot of people like everywhere that's, especially like in the US, they don't really understand the importance of what's going on in Ukraine, and they can care less if, you know, the US is supporting Ukraine or not. But it's very important to help. And, you know, I don't know, I don't know how to say it. It's just this girl, Lisa, she's very inspiring to me because she wants to help. She wants to give 100% of her energy to help. And I don't know, young Ukrainian people, they're very inspiring because they're the future of this country and they love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And these two stories of two Lisas like are not, this is not just the only two. It's everyone you meet. And that's why like truly so many people I've met here have just been, I just look up to them so much. And that's, yeah, lots of stories like that.
Oh yeah, and also I wanted to ask if somebody else wants to, be like Kaitlin when they grow up. They want to maybe support Ukraine in the similar way that you're supporting Ukraine. How can they get started?
How can they get started? Okay.
It doesn't have to be for Ukrainian Patriot, just
Yeah.
like how can it start in a volunteer NGO?
Yeah.
Or
For one, I think, well, what I did for one was just like taking something I'm already interested in, already some of my strengths, and using that to help Ukraine. Um, I had this book that I was really proud of, and I knew I could do something more with it. And finally, this time came where like what motivated me was helping Ukraine. And so I think, and not everyone will want to do their own personal projects like that, but I think even like how I'm offering some of my communication skills to Ukrainian Patriot, if you have different skills like that or skills you want to learn or expand on, looking at different ways you can help organizations that way. And just really knowing that every little bit that you do helps. So if that means volunteering a few hours a week and that's what you can do, that's great. If that means you're donating some money off of your paychecks, if that's that's an option, or even donating to a fundraiser here and there, that helps so much. And just about just fundraising, sometimes I think I also kind of lose sight of how important it can be and how big of a difference even a little bit can make. One of the places I donated to through the book proceeds is called Aelita, and it's based in Kropivnitsky. And the founder of the organization had messaged me just the other day and said, with the money they raised, she sent me a couple of videos of some defenders thanking me, thanking the readers for donating to them. They were able to repair one car and to fix another, and to buy another car. And this is from, I could see in the background there in Donetsk, right at the front. And just again, like really like me, my little proceeds were able to get these defender units like 2 vehicles. And that's just from people buying my book by some Canadian author girl, whatever. So like that was a really nice, I guess just a nice reminder of, yeah, the how much even a little bit helps. And if you're not able to do or give your time or money, sharing information is so important. And sharing information about what's happening here and also about Ukrainian culture, and about, because how do people care about things when they learn more about it? Even for when I like got into nature and science, I never even, for example, I think I talked about this in my book. I didn't, for example, this is random, but I didn't like eating mushrooms until I learned about them. And then I found out how cool they were. And they're like more similar to animals than plants. And I thought that's really neat. And yeah, like there's so many things like that where when you like learn about something is when you kind of more appreciate it, understand its value. And so that's also, those are a few things of how to get started.
Oh no, very true. What you said, if you learn about it, then you kind of get a better understanding, and then you develop like a passion. You can kind of care about it more, and that's like the first step for sure. But yeah, I really love people, because you were saying, whatever you're good at, whatever your skill set is, this is how you can help Ukraine in this capacity. Of course, you could do other stuff, but I really love the people that they understand what their skill set is and they use it to help Ukraine. And a lot of them are very unique. Sure, you have people that are career military and like, okay, I know how to fight. Send me to the front or just give me a combat role and I'll fight for Ukraine. Respectable. I know other people that do, very unique things to help Ukraine. For example, I know this guy, he's from Germany. And he decided that he saw like in Ukraine, in the eastern part of Ukraine, the roads are very bad, especially because the tanks and all of this are running on the roads going to the east. Also, maybe there's like an attack and the roads get messed up. And also, it's Ukraine; the roads are not that good in general. So he goes to the east. He goes on the roads. He sees like maybe a pothole. He sees kind of how overgrown the sides are, and he just cleans them, fills in the potholes. And this is basically what he does. He has his own like organization. I forgot what it was called. His NGO, but yeah, this is what he does. And it's like so unique because I guess he has his background back in Germany and he decided to put those skills to use here in Ukraine. Another girl I know, she's a Twitch streamer. and she decided to fundraise money for Ukraine to buy ambulances. And at first, her goal was like $10,000, going to get like a, an ambulance, not the best, but like an ambulance nonetheless. And she got more people involved because they learned about what she was doing. They got a better understanding of it. They felt, maybe, some passion that they want to help as well. And she got several other streamers to help her for this fundraising goal, and they ended up raising $50,000 in 1 week. And so her skill set was she's really good at streaming. She has, a fan base, and she raised money this way. And I just feel like these ways, I love these unique ways that people help. And you can, I guess like I'm decent with social media and have like this following. So I try to raise awareness through my social media and, do fundraising as well through my social media. And this is what I'm good at. This is like what I do. And I know everyone is good at something. And if you just get like a little creative, you can find, a way to help Ukraine with something that you're good at and passionate about. Or you can just go the traditional routes. Donating, it does help. You just got to be careful with, who you donate to. You have to find a reputable source. And I know Ukrainian Patriot takes donations as well. Yeah, so that's a reputable source. I trust you, Kaitlin.
Thank you.
Okay, so now tell me, thank you so much for all that you're doing for Ukraine. By the way, it's, I really love, people like you because you're foreign. Sure, you're Ukrainian, but you're foreign and you come across like halfway across the world to Ukraine to help out here and help other people. People here, Ukrainian people are amazing. I love them, and I would do so much, for my zemlyaki, my my earthlings, my country people. But yeah, but anyway, so say the war is over, Ukraine, doesn't matter whose terms, but the war ends. What will you be doing?
Helping rebuild this beautiful country. And yeah, that's the first step.
So you'll still be in Ukraine, right?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
will you be? Yeah.
I'll still be here. I mean, I was here before the war. I'll be here after the war.
Yeah.
I'm going to, this is my home. I'll be here forever. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope to see more of you. But yeah, so we reached basically our time. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, is there anything that we didn't discuss that you want to discuss? Yeah, we can.
I think we covered it.
Covered everything. Okay, awesome. Okay, so how about this? If people want to maybe reach out to you through your social media, or they want to know more about the organizations that you volunteer for, why don't you plug them into this camera over here, and people can help you that way.
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at Kaitlin Vitt, KaitlinVitt, and that's also my website.com. So find me there. That's how you can get my book, or send me a message on Instagram. The organization I help out with is Ukrainian Patriot. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook. Murashke, also on Instagram and Facebook, and Voices of Children. And though, just like message me and I can set you up with any of those.
All right, great. So yeah, I recommend you guys getting this book because I'm going to read it and I need a reading pal. So Planted, Stories from Manitoba's Natural World. So check out the book, and I'll sign off right now, Kaitlin. Just give me 1 second. So thanks again for joining us for another episode of Expats in Ukraine. If you like this episode, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you want to know how to get this book. If you want to be my reading buddy, you can also leave a comment. If you want to comment about Ukrainian dance, you have any questions, Kaitlin will be answering those. And if you're going to watch this show live, it's Thursday, 6 p.m., but you're probably already watching it live. You're probably here right now, like chatting with me live. But anyway, so I always say this at the end. But yeah, so thanks again for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more episodes of Expats in Ukraine. So what I'd like to do at the end, Kaitlin, shake the hand of the guest. Should come on down. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.